Stocktwits Nation is Monday, September 15th. I'm Katy Perry, and Shay Boloor is back. We are so back. Welcome back, bud.
I'm
How was the
excited to be
wedding?
here. It was
Yeah,
good.
you locked in a long-term position.
I did. Best ROI I've seen. She was my first small cap investment as a
Oh,
19-year-old when I met her. No, it was fun. A lot of family time. It was a 5-day excursion of a wedding on an island, 3 different
amazing.
families. And she already pulled the husband card like 4 times since getting married a week ago. So
I know because you're usually like my fiance. Now you got to make my wife. And I saw her investment portfolio is also cranking. I saw you shared that on Twitter. Her Roth.
yeah, and she does not. She thinks it's just like, oh yeah, it's expected. You do that every day. Why
Oh
wouldn't you be good at
no,
it?
you set a high bar. Now you're gonna have to keep it going. Well, we missed you, but what an exciting time. And then you did a
Mhm.
little mini moon, and now you're back. I'm sure you're really happy to be waking up at the crack of dawn again, to hang here and talk about, quantum and all those other things. So did you get some good rest?
Got good rest. I got a lot of FOMO because there's a lot of events that I had to say no to the past couple weeks.
Yeah.
And I'm like, oh man, that would have been fun. Like the IonQ event would have been really cool to go on Friday.
Uh
Go with Daniel to New York and Vegas to cover Broadcom and Nvidia earnings. I miss Nvidia earnings. Like that was the Super Bowl of every 3
yeah.
months type of stuff. So like I'm glad I'm back, getting back into having so many meetings on my calendar again.
Oh no.
Yeah, when you're
You
on
s-
island life for a week with no meetings, it's
yeah.
tricky to get back. I know our producer Max is accustomed to that island life, and I'm just like, I'm envious after
Yeah,
experiencing a week of it.
it's nice. Well, yeah, you missed the Nvidia earnings for your wedding. Your sacrifice knows no bounds. I feel like now she owes you. I did.
Uh,
I saw Daniel like casually in a selfie with Jensen.
yeah, I'm telling you guys, like
I was like,
Daniel is an enterprise celebrity. I've went
yeah,
with him like a couple weeks or 1 or 2 months ago. Like people come up to him, take a photo in the enterprise space. Like he is a legit celebrity in
yeah.
that arena.
There was like everyone was in that picture. It was like honestly like
Bill was in it, and
yeah, service
Jensen,
now.
Dell was in it. It's just like
There's
crazy.
just like all
Yeah.
these there's just like all these people just hanging out. I'm like, what is that? What do those people talk about? I don't know. Probably not like football or the things I talk about with my dumbass friends, but I saw it and I was like, all right, Daniel, flex on him. Flex on him, Daniel. Well, you'll be there next time, Shy. There's
Yeah.
lots more time for that. And you prioritize what was important and now you're back. So
Oh,
it's
you sound like my wife when I was complaining to her.
well, yeah, now well, like I feel like you miss Nvidia earnings just so you can be like, well, I miss Nvidia earnings for our wedding. So like you take out the trash. I don't even know. I saw the photo that you shared on X though. Sophie looked beautiful. Everything looked so
Her
nice.
mom made that dress. They made the dress together, so it was like it took like six
That
months. But how cute! Yeah,
what?
yeah.
That's insane. Is her mom a dressmaker or just like picked
No,
it?
they both love sewing. They made a mess in my living room for such a long time that I had to live with, which is fine. I
What?
also like, yeah, it was an adorable story, but also there was some panic a month ago when the dress was not even close to being ready, and so
Yeah.
my wife was just like, what we have to do something. Like
Yeah.
I have no other
Y-
alternative.
Oh my God. That's insane. What a cool story though.
Yeah, it was very
Aw.
cute. Yeah.
All right. Well, we'll have to share more photos next time. We were trying to pay off the drone photographer to give us some paparazzi shots, but he had ethical standards higher than ours.
Yeah,
But you know,
I hired Jeff Bezos as security, so that
okay,
wouldn't
yeah,
have worked.
good. Well, let's look at what's trending this morning over on Stocktwits. Lots going on. We got Tesla trending. We'll talk about that. Elon dropping a bill. We got Opendoor. Yeah, that was a big development since you were out Shy when you were here last time. We were talking Opendoor had no CEO, and now they got a new CEO. Eric Jackson's star continues to rise. We've got Nvidia also trending. Earnings a little bit quiet this week, but we got FedEx, which is always interesting for a state of kind of B2B and what things are doing there. Lennar, which is a home building. And then we got a big dog on Wednesday, Shy. We got Cracker Barrel reporting, and I don't know. It's gonna be spicy. But that's about it for this week. Oh, Olive Garden also on Thursday, if you care. That started. But Shy, I guess like when you were out and you come back from your wedding, you're like getting back in the zone of all the things you sort of like missed. What I guess what did you have to like catch up the most on, or what were some of the things that when you got back you were like, oh, that's new and different?
I mean, I had to go over Oracle's earnings right away
Yes.
because I was just like, it was video game numbers, what they reported in RPO, which is remaining pricing obligations, because it exploded to like $500 billion almost. It went up like what 400% year over year.
Yep.
This is not a small cap. Like this is a, I don't even know what their market cap is now, but it's in the 500-600 billion dollars. Like
Yeah.
they just had a eye popping RPO. And I was like, what caused that? Because you just don't. I know the AI theme is very early. People keeps trying to call the top, and we've been saying it's riskier to call a top than to call the bottom in this thing, because AI is a character change in the world, and it has barely touched even a percent of it. Like, to put that in perspective, 85% of the world is still on-prem and don't use cloud. So if you think cloud is maturing, think again. Now compare that to AI against cloud. AI is such a long runway. And right now
Yeah.
you're seeing the past year or two, like, who are the clear winners and first movers in this space? It's the Nvidias and Broadcoms, the toll booths. You're seeing some smaller players now as well in Astera Labs, but you're also seeing Oracle just have this massive renaissance, and they are somewhat highlighting and spotlighting what Amazon kind of missed in their database component of their business, where data, like, Amazon should be getting a lot of his business, in my opinion. But
Mm.
Oracle is just, that cloud agnostic approach is making it a lot more efficient on making people like benefit from AI through their database. And I think that when I saw Oracle's numbers, the thing that popped out to me was how central they're becoming to all these hyperscalers infrastructure strategies, where they essentially laid out a guide path that takes their Oracle cloud infrastructure from $12 billion, I think it was last year, to $18 billion this year. But then next 4 years is going to go up to 140 or $150 billion. And that much of that is in the backlog. So again, we're going to have to, the money is locked in, but it's got to step up if you're going to call that out. And
Yeah.
I do think that what differentiates Oracle when I was reading into it than any other player was, like, they're not renting GPUs. Like, they're emphasizing that this is actually the new AI database. So they're, when you think about database in the new digital economy, you have to think about how they're vectorizing enterprise data and connecting it to all these LLM models, the GPTs, the Geminis, Groks, Llamas. Like, everyone can be fighting for this LLM race. But if Oracle is the AI database that benefits from everyone else just spending billions and billions of dollars, that makes them a massive inference winner. And
Mm.
inference is the hot pocket right now. You're seeing it with Broadcom, the Uncle Sam of AI. You're seeing it with Astera Labs just absolutely killing it. Oracle is also going to be a massive inference winner because that AI database component. And that's what makes this like, I think it was like 1,500% surge in multi-cloud database revenue when I read into it. It's so important because they are just benefiting so much from being that one database from all these LLM spend. So like,
Yeah.
I do think that this, it's real, but also you have to factor in what's being now valued. If after this move, it went up, what was it, 40% after that
Yeah.
earnings report, like, that backlog is getting priced, that future backlog is getting priced in the stock right now. And there might be some opportunity costs. Not saying sell it, I'm not
Yeah.
buying it,
Yeah.
but it's a winner. And if you're bullish on AI and there's any kind of macro driven pullback at a Black Swan event, like, Oracle needs to be on your list.
Yeah, one thing I wanted to ask you when it happened was, it sort of, it felt to me, it felt like it came out of nowhere because I'm not following this stuff like as closely as a thematic investor into this space like you would. So for me, I was like, Orc, what? Where did this was this sort of expected among people who closely follow these companies? or were even you surprised to see what they shared?
I was surprised to see the velocity of it. I know RPOs are going to continue rising and rising because of just the stupid demand of AI right now. And OpenAI is a major driver of like what Oracle's RPO is, and it's going to be a major driver for so many different companies as well. I do think, all right, devil's advocates, there was some corporate strategy finessing here because they
Ooh.
did miss, and they also had showed that their SaaS growth is slowing, that their legacy licensing base is shrinking. Again, this is the past business, in my opinion, not the future AI database, and that their capital intensity, like the amount of CapEx spend, is increasing. So that
Mhm.
combination of they miss and all those three components happening at the same time, that we're going to tank unless we do something to shift the narrative. And I've
Mhm.
been in those rooms. What do you do to shift the narrative? You show, all right, this is just a small little bump in the grand scheme of where AI is heading, and we're going to be a major winner. So we're going to show where we're going to see long term how we're going to benefit. And that's why it was such a rosy RPO number. I'm not
Mhm.
saying it's fake, but I think they spotlighted that a
Yeah.
lot more than they would have in the past if they didn't have all three of those things just happen in that earnings report.
Yeah, none of the other things you listed, I mean, they were footnotes, if that. So there was a good storytelling, I'd say triumph for those guys.
Yeah.
You mentioned Amazon. Uh, Curious, kind of to explore a little bit more. They should have. You're saying they should have kind of been a beneficiary of what Oracle's doing now. Why do you think they weren't able to do that or are not doing it to the same degree as Oracle?
It's because they're head of it. I want to bash this guy because he's not at the company. He's
Wait,
not at
where?
the he's not at the company anymore. But the previous AWS CEO, he got axed because he just
Oh.
totally fumbled the ball on the initial AI uh, bump because like he was trying to do too much to control everything internally. Like remember, like I've been saying, like controlling the stack is
Mhm.
everything now for a big winner in the space. But you have to have the resources to do so. And Trainium is still multi generations. It's still not even close to where Google TPUs are. But they were putting like all their eggs in that basket initially, or most of their eggs in that basket initially. And now they cause them to have some demand leakage. And that's what caused AWS to not have that much of a velocity of a beat on their cloud business compared to the Google Cloud and Azure because they were energy compute and they had compute constraint issues. And that's
Mm.
because they didn't have all the resources and tools necessary to fulfill all the demand. So now they're obviously adjusting for that. They're being much more aggressive on like, all right, let's just not be super specific on our own custom silicon chips via Trainium. Like let's just get all of the chips necessary, aka Nvidia. You're doing great still,
Mhm.
so we can fulfill this demand. And now they're like a lot of the notes I'm reading on the street, like they're anticipating a second half reacceleration because of that strategy change. So I do believe that the database component of Amazon, because they do have an Oracle like product, they have a MongoDB like product. Uh, I'm blanking on the name. Dynamo, I think it's DynamoDB. But they should be raking in a lot of this business.
Mm.
Not a lot of them. They should be raking in a lot more AI business than they actually are right now. And it's because they're compute constrained. And that's a fumble on management. That's why he got axed. They have a new guy. It's fine. That's why I don't want to bash it too much. But
Yeah.
oh man, it's my second biggest position. So it's
Yeah.
frustrating.
Interesting. Let's stick on cloud and AI for a second because OpenAI is redefining their relationship with Microsoft. Exclusivity is out and preference is in. So, for the past 2 years, Microsoft was OpenAI's sole cloud provider and they ran everything on that cloud. But a new memorandum of understanding is shifting the deal from exclusive to preferred. Nice little corporate speak there, but basically, it opens the door for OpenAI to also tap in Oracle, Google, others for capacity. So they're gonna spread workloads over whoever can deliver the power, the price, the proximity. So Microsoft, it seems like the edge is less in compute and more in defaults, distribution, enterprise access. What do you make of this piece of information coming out of OpenAI, Shy? Because I think this is interesting because those two. Microsoft was a big investor in OpenAI, and they've been very tight, and now it seems like they're sort of like drifting a little bit.
I actually view it in the lens of Microsoft just went from customer to owner of
Mm.
OpenAI, because
Oh,
up until
interesting.
now, Microsoft's like deal with OpenAI was more indirect. Like they had 49% ownership through profits, not real equity. So the way their relationship worked was the GPU's demand was through Azure, API revenue share, like I mentioned, the profit sharing, and then like the co-branded features like co-pilots, stuff like that. But an equity stake, which is like the new revision of the deal, now OpenAI's valuation growth directly lands on Microsoft's balance sheets.
Mm.
So now there's actual upside with their strategic dependency. That's huge. On the
Right.
business front, I mean, infrastructure is already saturated. Like hyperscalers are spending like 50% plus more on capex. Like this year, probably going to be something similar next year. So like, what's scarce is ownership on these front end models and distribution. So owning a material slice of open AI gives Microsoft more influence over what their product roadmaps are going to be, what like maybe what Microsoft's vision is of what GPT-6 should be, 7, AGI, they're going to benefit from AGI if OpenAI conquers it. How GPT should integrate into Azure and Office. Essentially, it makes them more of a gatekeeper between compute and enterprise deployment. So it's a great deal and it makes a lot of
Yeah.
sense. And it's a somewhat of a more of a strategic moats than it was before. So like people like view it like, oh, it's tomato. No, like on a corporate strategy front, this is a massive change. It's a
Yeah.
win-win in my opinion.
Interesting. I want to stick on AI for a second because I think you shared something on X. That Gemini was trending in the App Store, and we've been talking a lot about Google Gemini being so embedded and sort of feeling behind some of the more preferred LLMs like your OpenAI and Grok to some degree. But Gemini is. What do you make of that? Like a surge in interest in adoption? Do you think Google is going to be able to catch up and eclipse OpenAI in terms of just pure usage on the consumer side?
I'm not surprised at all. Like I've been saying it, but I haven't been buying it, which is the most frustrating part. But
Yeah.
like I was like, the narrative on Google is just so offsides from the market. Like, yeah, search might be softening, and I think there's a competitive headwind. I'm not denying that, but their infrastructure side is absolutely hardening. And the new digital economy, you have to control the stack, and there's no better company out there that does everything you need to control that stack. And specifically, their TPUs. Their TPUs are 7th generation. It's years and years ahead of all the custom silicon chip products out there. And it's almost getting to the point where it's the same category potentially as a not Blackwell, as an Nvidia chip or AMD chip. Like really, it's really premium, chef's kiss. So when they own their own chips, that's in competing with all these like AMDs and Nvidias, where everyone's just like waiting in line to try to buy it, but they have all these sources in house. They can do whatever they want with it. That's going to make their model quality so freaking high because they don't have to spend so much money to do get all the tools necessary to increase their model quality. They have it in house where
Mhm.
the Grok has to go buy NVIDIA chips, or you have to have all these different, like the Anthropics, Perplexities. Like they don't have their own internal chips. They have to go buy it off the shelf. That causes lag time. You probably don't have all the necessary tools you need in order to hit your actual model quality. Google has that in surplus. So I do think that that's why it's not surprising to me, because their TPU is a massive moat that really isn't discussed enough. And I wouldn't be surprised if their TPUs eventually go from internal to external. And now that they're going to have customers outside of their Google ecosystem start buying their chips because it's that high quality.
Yeah.
And I think that the amount of data that they have, distribution that they have, also feeds into it's the fuel for the model engine as well. So like nobody has better high quality data than Google on
Yeah.
search, their workspace ecosystem. So like that's going to feed into that model and make it even better and better every single day. So like they're set up so freaking well. And Gemini is tricky because you can't quantify it because it truly is such a connectivity layer of
Yeah.
all their products that you just don't know where it is or how to like separate that from everything else.
Yeah.
But like it's incredible. Like everyone I talk to in that whole space love it. It's like it's their favorite actually.
Yeah. It's a good call out because, yeah, the App Store downloads would indicate, okay, people are using it enough that they also want it on their phone. And so it's showing them momentum. But to your point, it's not like OpenAI where you can say count growth in signups because it's a net new thing. Everyone's on Google already. So the usage, I think that the App Store, though, shows, okay, people are using it within their workspaces. And they're like, okay, I also want this. I want this on my phone now. Interesting. So let's zoom out a bit to economic news this week. Of course, this is the much awaited Fed meeting week. Under a lot of pressure to pivot. The markets expect this to happen. They expect its first rate cut in over a year later this week. It's been on pause for 9 months, but we're widely expected to cut rates on September 17th. That's Wednesday. Job numbers while you were out, Shy, not so good. So we had growth stalling, just 22,000 jobs added in August. Unemployment at the highest level since 2021. Inflation's still above target. Economists are saying that the weak labor market is giving the Fed cover to start easing. And the futures markets are showing a 92% chance of a 25 basis point cut. You've been kind of like, not, I don't say defending Powell, but a few months ago, like, he's doing the best as he can, but I think everyone's sort of getting a little antsy now. What do you think, not only what do you think is going to happen Wednesday, but what do you think sort of the commentary is going to look like?
I think that the market already priced in a cut. It's going to happen. Just look at last week's action. Like there are so many growth small cap companies are unprofitable. They're just catching crazy bids. So I think that was because of the pricing and for sure Powell's going to cut rates. I think the narrative on how hawkish he's going to be is probably going to be really important. It's not, nobody's going to care about the rate cut this week because it's happening already. Now it's like, all right, how many are we going to do? And I think that it's going to be, I'm probably, if I had to put my money on it, it's going to be sell the news events just because market is a forward-looking mechanism. It priced in what's going to happen. And now you have to ask, all right, what's next that's going to make the next leg up in this rally on what's going to be macro related or power related. And he's probably going to highlight the job numbers is not great. But it's also like the worst kept secret. Like we all know AI is going to be replacing jobs in the first wave. But the thing is, in the second wave, it's also going to create a ton of new jobs of people that businesses need new jobs to effectively use AI in their enterprise. So the first wave is like, all right, that's redundant. That company, that whole department is not needed anymore in the future. It's like we're going to be getting all the bloat out. Which I hate calling people bloat, but like I'm just using the term. But getting all these roles out that we just don't need anymore. And now, as soon as we get lean and we have some resources, we're going to start hiring these new positions that we need to infuse this AI into the enterprise. And or they can just adopt oncology via Palantir and like don't hire people, have this literally OS do it for you. That's a different story. So I do think that the first wave is going to look ugly on these job losses. And I do think that it's going to kind of be get worse before it gets better. Powell also knows how deflationary AI is going to be as well. He's not a schmuck. So I do think he's just balancing a near-term narrative with the long-term reality of what the world's going to be. And it's going to be fine. Like I don't think this matters. I think that AI is the main ticket. And if anything, this earnings cycle, it showed that this was an inflection quarter for AI. Like I'm not just saying Oracle's video game RPO numbers. I'm saying Meta destroyed earnings. Microsoft Azure numbers were crazy reacceleration. Google AI was crazy. You saw Palantir continue to reaccelerate, and you're now seeing the breadth widen to a lot of the hardware toll booths. Like Broadcom, I thought was still a strong report. Astera Labs crushed it. Credo was doing really well. And then you're just seeing the demand, the sovereignty demand for AI still hasn't even gotten started. Like this is domestic is still early, but Europe is so freaking early. And this week we have Trump and the UK prime minister gonna make some kind of announcement on some tech pact. Who's gonna benefit? Arm Holdings going to benefit. It's a UK business,
Yeah.
and they're also they provide the blueprint for the new digital economy, and they're also doing their own chips now. That probably going to have to go through Intel, in my opinion. Another one is there's going to be some kind of quantum announcement, in my opinion. I missed the Friday analyst day because of the wedding shenanigans, but I also need to connect with Daniel about it because he went over there. But I do believe that there's going to be some IonQ news. And again, I'm saying this before speaking to anyone who went to the events or Nicola itself or anyone at IonQ. Like, this is just me, outsider, because I've just been working. I mean, wedding. But I do think that when IonQ last week announced that their $1 billion Oxford deal closed, that's a UK business. This week, I think the timing is like, oh, interesting. Like, that just announced the closing, and this week the UK Premium and Trump are meeting on a tech pact. What's something that's going to be really vital for national security if China solves it? Quantum computing. If China's a first mover in quantum, who cares about this AI stuff?
Yeah.
We're in danger. Like, that's a massive national security front. So I do believe that there's going to be a lot of emphasis, maybe not immediately, but next couple of years, on quantum, because AI is like really important, obviously, but quantum, everyone knows, is the next derivative. And I do think that there's no better company positioned to have all the hardware, software, sovereignty, security, the whole network than IonQ with their new tech roadmap. Their management's getting extremely stacked. If you look at their recent hires, they're like big dogs from the government. Fill in the blanks. Like, this is, I feel like they're going to get involved somehow. It's just some kind of sovereignty deal.
Yeah. Well, the reporting lines up sort of with the narrative you're painting, in that, Washington and London need to come together if they're going to take on Beijing in the quantum battle. So the Trump is there, or he's on his way with Prime Minister Starmer. And to what you were explaining, they're expected to unveil some sort of US-UK technology partnership, and quantum will be at the core. Focus on security standards, joint investment, building a shared supply chain. Again, like, to your point, it's the same thing we've been hearing. It's a national and security imperative to win in this space, and quantum sort of the next thing. And I'm also reading that Jensen Huang and Sam Altman are also going to be there. So that's interesting also, in light of some news coming out of China on the Nvidia front. But go ahead, Shay.
No, I was going to say, even if IonQ is mentioned among the group of OpenAI and Nvidia, I think that shows like how vital they are in quantum computing. Like, Nvidia is the AI engine. OpenAI is clearly the first mover, but the model king. IonQ is I think it would cement them as the quantum king. And if you're bullish on the theme quantum, like, I think that IonQ is going to be the category leader. So, like, I think even if they're mentioned, like, doesn't have to be like a dollar amount. If they're mentioned, I think that's massive. I just really do. It's a huge narrative win.
And with this type of thing, like, there's a few quantum players that we've talked about on this show. Is it something where they'll put, chips in various places across companies, or do you think they'll have, they'll name someone as the leader and work with them? Is there any precedent for either of those situations?
I mean, I think the rest of you guys, I won't get bashed the rest of the quantum names. I think they're very niche, near term qubit plays. I think, again, IonQ is something far greater. They're pushing for a quantum network. But I think it's going to be less about chips. It's just about more national security. I think it's just going to be more about pushing that networking that they're like really adding all these tools for. I'm looking at Tesla. I want to see how Tesla's going to react now. Let's see. They are up 7%.
Yeah, let's talk about Tesla, because I feel like, so last week, I think it was Larry Ellison overtook Elon briefly, and I feel like Elon took that personally. So he is putting $1 billion on the table. So he grabbed $1 billion worth of Tesla shares through a trust last week, and this was his first open market purchase in 5 years. on the heels of the news that's coming out that the board is floating a pay package worth up to 1 trillion if the company hits these huge milestones. So to your point, Shay, the shares are going up. I think people are bullish. Elon seems to be locking back in. You're a long-term Tesla investor. What do you, I guess the pay package one, and then this move from Elon Musk. What do you make of those two things happening?
Bullish. I think it's worth noting that, I mean, listen, this is Elon bought the stock just like how myself and Katie would buy the stock, purely on open market. This is not part of any kind of trading plan that he
Robinhood.
had.
Just kidding.
Exactly. He bought $1 billion on Robinhood.
Someone at Robinhood's like, what the?
No, but I think it's super bullish. Like, I think he risked $1 billion. Like, I know people are like, oh, he's worth like this much, $1 billion is nothing, but like, it's still Bill. Like, it's still something. And I think it's something, especially when he hasn't bought stock in like 6 years. This is the first time, and we're like at that cusp of physical AI. You're not just hearing from Elon's mouth, like you're hearing from Jensen. Jensen is the king right now of what the new tech innovation is. He's saying physical AI is here, and we're at the cusp of autonomy and robotics. He bought stock. I think it was like around 370 or 380 average on open market right before that inflection period is going to happen. I think I'm bullish on that. That's a huge narrative win. Like, I think it's either A, the delivery numbers are going to be a lot better than feared because he's not a political person anymore, which is, again, music to all investors' ears.
Yeah.
I think that's B is confidence that he wants to be here for a while now. We're not at risk of losing him as a Tesla shareholder. Tesla is Elon. If Elon's gone, I'm gone. I know a lot of people share that sentiment. So it would be down 70% probably, not in a day, but like if there's no Elon, it's an EV car business an energy business. It's not going to be autonomy. So like, I think that when you see the sheer ceiling on what physical AI can be, especially on humanoids, it's freaking massive. And we're seeing like OpenAI be worth like $500 billion, and it keeps going up every 2 months. This is worth 1.3 trillion. I do view it as more of a startup on autonomy and humanoids, and you're getting the energy business on the side that's worth a couple $100 million, but I think the EV business is essentially free. Like, I just don't view it as anything because humanoids alone is $1 trillion business for Tesla, especially if they conquer it. And I think that timeline always a variable, but when you get Elon to buy that much stock in the open market, like maybe the timeline is somewhat accurate. We'll see, but I'm bullish.
Yeah, I think you use the word startup. I think that's a good way to look at it because it does seem like it's not that he's investing a bill in the business as it has existed to date. It's almost to your point, there's a new wave of technology coming. This company is building it. They're not making a lot of money off of it yet, but he thinks it's going to grow. And as an investor, he's going to put $1 billion on that to the future versus just buying, into the EV automaker as we know it.
Well, just wait until one business puts an order for humanoid robots. Like, I think that the B2B is heavily discounted on the humanoid front. Everyone thinks about, consumers like, man, I don't want a robot in my living room. Blah. Yeah. Okay. Well, that's not the first wave. The first wave is always B2B. So when you have, I don't know, a McDonald's puts in an order for Tesla for humanoid robots, like how many Fortune 500 companies are going to put orders in for Tesla if they're the go-to source for humanoid robots? Stupid amount. Amazon is going to have hundreds of thousands of dollars of orders once humanoids are ready. Like, the orders are going to stack up. And I just think that the velocity of what Tesla can become is going to be massive if he succeeds. And track record, again, same thing with the AI theme. If you're trying to call it top, like, Elon has not failed yet in his career, knock on wood, but like his track record has proved to me that it's probably going to be a reality. And betting against that is like betting that the Jets are going to win a football game. Like, it just doesn't make sense.
Love it. I love a Jets dig. I almost did it before. I think someone said, you might have said fumble. And I was like, speaking of fumbles, yeah, we were talking before the show. I was at the Bills Jets game last night, and it was the most depressing thing I've ever seen in my entire life. Just a bunch of like 60-year-old men just down on their luck, like 18 bush lights deep, just questioning really everything. Which is quite the juxtaposition to the shiny future that Elon Musk sees for Tesla. And when you're talking about these big orders, Shy, which company do you think would like move first, or do you think it might be like the military or the government? Like, do you have any like who do you think should place the first big order?
I mean, if they didn't have that middle school fight, I think for sure governments between
Yeah.
Trump and Elon. Now I don't know, but I mean, national security front, like, yeah, it should be the government, but exclude government. I do think it's Amazon. Like, Amazon
Yeah.
has a logistics warehouse robotics, at 1 million of them, but outside the warehouse, I think they'll benefit substantially. Like, you have to look at the companies that have such a monopoly in everyday life who can have a margin expansion opportunity all of a sudden using robotics.
Yeah.
That's Amazon. Like, Amazon has always been like, we don't care about profits in our e-commerce business. We just want to get mind share and invest in logistics. And AWS will be our bread and butter for profits, and we'll infuse in other growth avenues, but also feed into our logistics moats to create convenience in consumer lives. They've done that clearly. Now, what's the next step? Maybe we can do some margin expansion opportunity via physical AI. And we don't want Amazon's way isn't capex heavy. They hate um, sticking your neck out and going hard on a theme. They just don't. AWS is the only time they've ever done that. But even now for robotics, like they're or even AI models, like the LLM models, like they just don't care to invest themselves. They'll invest through their partnerships. Their retail is such a massive moat that they'll probably be the first one, in my opinion. Actually,
Yeah.
like 300,000 humanoid robots, like that's that's something realistic for Amazon to purchase from humanoids.
Yeah, I mean, it's crazy to think about. You talk about the impact of kind of early waves of AI on sort of like the so-called white collar jobs, thought workers. Amazon's one of the biggest employers of people in the United States. Walmart, I think, is the only one that's bigger. And then you think about the impact there as well. And it's interesting to think about physical AI, but to your point, potentially unlocking new jobs. Someone's got to maintain the robots, I guess you could say. We at the Gateway conference, we met with this really cool company called Z Space, and they have this AR training software where like it literally looked like a robotic arm was right in front of me, and I had this stylus, and it was like removing a piece, adding a piece. So you could see how you could start training people on some of this stuff, but it's gonna, that could be a trade school kind of thing. That might not be an advanced robotics degree. But someone's got to, if the thing shuts down, fix it. And that's going to be a whole new thing that no one's trained on
Mhm.
yet. So there's all sorts of interesting things happening. And then I'd never thought about that before meeting
Well,
this company, which was like, oh yeah, someone needs to train people on how to do that.
no, that's a second wave of employment. I'm telling you, there's gonna be
Yeah.
so many new jobs. I was talking to my now sister-in-law. She's 15. I was like, "What do you want to do with your?" I'm like pressuring her now. Like, "What do you want to do in your life?" Like, because nobody on her side of the family will ever like push them to do stuff. She's like,
Yeah.
"I want." I mean, like, PR sounds fun. Fun. I was like,
That's
"Oh,
funny.
you just chose the laziest, easiest job. That's why you chose PR." And she was like, "So it's like you gotta learn new skill sets in the new digital
Yeah.
economy." And I was just getting into it, and she was like, I could see her eyes just like
I'm picturing this being
scroll.
like 4 AM at like the third bar after the reception, and you're just like, "What are you doing with your life?" And she's like, "Bro, it's your wedding. Can we not do this right now? Like, let me live."
I will say though, like be cautious on robotic companies, guys, because I do think there was a bubble. It's that I think there
Mm,
is so many companies out there that claim they're robotics, but they have a product that does point A to point B. It's not anything to the neural network that Tesla's trying to do, where it's like, actually like a human. There a lot of other companies just like I can fold a laundry. You can probably move this dish to this dish. I can maybe pick up a water and put it over here. Like very limited. I think there is some compute constraints on how far they can go. They are so far away from just even able to expand to 1/100th of what Tesla humanoids can do,
yeah,
but they aren't going to be able to be profitable for a long time, if ever. The spend might not be worth the squeeze when you have a company like Tesla who can just do humanoids like
Yeah.
at a rapid scale, like they've done EV cars.
I mean, this might be obvious, but when you're talking, is the Neuralink project linked to the humanoid robots? Like they're they're creating sort of like a way to control, I guess, thought. I don't know how it works, but like, is that somehow linked? Like, are they like, is that what they're trying to develop for the humanoid robots as well? Or are those two completely separate
No,
things?
the car is essentially like the humanoid robot. Like, that's
Okay,
why
that's
it's
crazy.
no, that's why the scalability is so massive on humanoids for Tesla, because like they didn't go after the low hanging fruits on autonomy. Like they're trying to drop a car in any city. Like, all right, you're self driving. Doesn't matter. The mapping is not as important as it would be for like a Waymo. And that's why Waymo is clearly the leader right now. And it's going to be probably for a while because they're doing it the slow methodological way, where Tesla is just trying to do the Elon way of just like, I'm not doing slow. I want velocity. I want disruption. It's very well might be the BlackBerry versus iPhone moments between their strategy, or maybe the way that Elon's trying to do it will fail. Like Uber CEO Dara, he mentioned like you need LiDAR on your cars. Like you just
Yeah.
do. Like you can't go without it. Same with the Waymo CEO said the same thing. Like it's a very polarizing method on autonomy. And neural network is a heavy reason on why it might work for Tesla and why it's so uh adjacent to humanoids is so adjacent to autonomy, because they're using the same network where if it works here, it should work for another physical hardware with a human brain.
Yeah. Crazy. You do start to see getting it's you could see sort of the midway point to where we're getting, especially in New York, I want to say over the last 6 months. All these little Amazon rickshaw things. It's like two-wheel, it's motorized, it's small, and I'm just like, yeah, no one needs to be driving that. You see where things are going. If you zoom out a little bit over time, used to be these trucks, and then it was people pushing the carts, and now it's these little like bike things, basically like a box on a bike, and they're everywhere. And I know Amazon, I think, what's the Zooks?
Oh
There's a
yeah, Zooks, the Amazon's
yeah,
version. Yeah.
so like it's you see where it's going, and it's wild. But to your point, we're a ways out, we talk about going to LA and seeing all the googly eyed robots, and that's kind of what we're working with right now. The little guys with the googly eyes. But who knows, maybe we'll have robot sports leagues in the future. That would be pretty sick. um let's shift over to one of the trending tickers that we've been talking about on the show, and that's Opendoor. So Keith Raboy is back, and he's actually, speaking of job impact, he's basically saying they are bloated. It sounds like kind of Elon when he got to X. They have about 1,400 employees, and he says we could probably cut as much as 85% of them. So they just named their new CEO, which I think is interesting. It's a Shopify exec, Kaz Najashian. I said that wrong, I think. His screen name is Canada Kaz, though, which is baller. So he's in there. He's engaging with investors. He was on X last week saying he's reading everyone's DMs. I DM'd him because I want him to come on the show. So Kaz, if you're seeing this, please come on the show. But I think, where do you think like Opendoor, we talked to Eric Jackson. Now we got the Shopify executive, which is interesting because now the logical conclusion is, oh, they're going to try to be the Shopify of selling a house. How do you feel any differently with these moves about Opendoor than you maybe did before?
Yeah, I mean, I love the story. I am rooting for the open army for
Yeah.
sure. I think the real estate's like industry needs some shaking. Like that's
Yeah.
like the world's worst kept secret. It's a dinosaur of an industry that's slow moving. It's very healthcare adjacent, where something needs to change, but there's so much red tape, bureaucracy, and just like
Yeah.
weight that it's really hard to move it. But Open Door, like if it gets big enough, like maybe they're the way to shake it up. And even when Eric came on the show, who knows how long, like it was a month ago,
Yeah.
I was like, what? I was like, you should cut. You should go way lighter. Like, why are you guys just like this heavy balance sheets? You guys
Yeah.
should just be a platform. That's essentially what they're doing. Like with Kaz going into the CEO slot as a Shopify COO previously, like Shopify is a platform on SMBs. What were
Yeah.
SMBs before? Brick and mortars. He essentially took the heavy balance sheet of a brick and mortar SMB into, he was part of it. He wasn't the reason, but he was part of it, into like a platform now for e-commerce. Like,
Yeah.
so I do think that things need to get shaken up still. The core engine for Opendoor still remains iBuying, and the unit economics for that don't clear the bar yet for a durable re-rate on like, are we going to see any fundamental bump from all these moves for a long time?
Yeah.
But I think that if there is like a disruptor, if you're looking for a disruptor in a space that needs shaking, like Opendoor is that. And you're just seeing what a story does to a stock. Like when you have a
Yeah.
good story, the momentum carries it, and they get big enough, they actually have a fighting chance.
Yeah.
And I can't even count on one hand anymore how many retail heavy, you can call cold stocks if you want, it's not a bad thing, but stocks that have truly outperformed the market and disrupted their spaces. And real estate needs one. I know Zillow probably is going to be doing something similar to Opendoor, but guess what? Opendoor has the open army, and they have
Yeah.
like the push. There's a retail premium nowadays. There is, on like, if you have a retail army behind you and a good story, they're going to get a premium. So right now, what's that right now? I even looked. Is that $10 or $8? Last time I checked,
I think it closed $8 last week.
10 bucks. It's over 10
Yeah.
bucks. Interesting. So
Not yet at
let-
that 82 target Eric wanted, but I think yeah,
it's
to your
good.
point,
It's
the story though, I think is important in that it was so smart to get the Shopify exec, because if you think about, again, it's all down to execution, but very similar running a small business as a merchant. Similar sort of challenge in that you have all of these disparate tasks and things working at the same time. So with selling a house, you got the legal piece, you got an inspection. And in the way Shopify's brilliance is just an ecosystem of things you kind of plug in and play, and it's all right there and it all works together. And then you have all the data in one place. And I can see I see the similarity there. But to your point, is there, is there more red tape there that, will make this harder? But there's the marketing of the property, there's the inspection, there's the legal, there's the finances, like, and all those things are just modules within a larger project or system that you're managing. And that's very close to what Shopify does.
Yeah, I mean, that's also, like, we're talking about the business front, like the macro front. Like, there are so many tailwinds for Opendoor. Like, the rates are coming down.
Yeah.
So I think that what essentially you're going to see on not just Opendoor, but the whole theme on housing is rates down, volumes up, spread expands. So I think that is going to be somewhat of a relay race between like what the long-term bonds are going to be, the mortgage pass-throughs, and like a lot of like consumer confidence. So I think that they have a macro tailwind that is going to give them a bump. And if they're going to actually shift corporate strategies to become this asset light, agent led, like platform pitch, it's coming with the right time of that, because now there's lower capital intensity. There's going to be more fee income potentially. And there's going to be a lot better ROIC, like return of invested capital in the space where they did improve profitability. I think even when housing was booming, like they're just so bloated.
Yeah.
But you got the founders back on board. You have a platform CEO. They could do it. I'm rooting for them. Like I really am. Like I hope they conquer it.
Yeah, it's been a fun story to follow. To your point about just like how bloated, relatively speaking, you mentioned Palantir, which is one of the hottest, like most innovative company. I think they employ 4,000 people. So Opendoor having 1.5K compared to Opendoor or Palantir's 4K seems crazy that those are even in the same relative ballpark. That Palantir is doing what it's doing with, over twice as much as Opendoor, but it's Opendoor, and that it's wild how some of these companies can operate. I think, and I look at a situation like an Opendoor, even, if I were on the job market, I'd be like, that is what a what a cool opportunity if you're in that like core group that stays to build. That sounds like such a fun challenge,
Totally.
right? Like, what a fun, like, it's like you have all these things in your favor, and it's just like time to get stuff done. But to your
Well,
point, 85% cut is huge.
I also think like why not add Eric to the board? Like I think that's a great idea. I think that
Yeah.
there needs to be like I do think that retail needs to have some kind of component on like all right, what's the sentiment read of this move? Sentiment read is essentially what's the mass marketing going to do, aka retail. So if you have that retail voice on the board, it tells you, all right, well, how's the market going to react to this news? Well, what's volume going to be like? What's the sentiment read? There's no better sentiment read than the Eric Jackson on what Opendoor is going to do. So I was a little surprised he didn't get a board seat. Maybe that's going to change with the new to
Yeah.
the founders going back on. I think that's for a company like Opendoor making that much of a pivot in business strategy. There's going to be errors along the way. And I think that it's really important to have a sounding, like one person as a sounding board on sentiment reads on any major change, because there's going to be a lot of major changes.
Yeah.
So maybe they just felt like they can just hit up Eric whenever and like ask him about their
That's a
opinion.
Yeah, I feel like he's not going anywhere. Like he's like showing up at their office. He's showing up at Drake. Like he'll get in there. But I wonder, like it would make. I mean, it would have made a lot of sense to sort of anoint him in this moment. I wonder if like he wants to be sort of like an outsider, and that helps him with rallying. The open army, being a little bit removed from that. I don't know, because it seems like that would be an obvious, give the win to the retail investors. Eric's obviously done a lot of work already. And so I wonder if it wasn't just like it's not on purpose that he's not on the board.
Well, I think Eric did the heavy lifting already. I don't think he has to be so hands on anymore. Like people know about the open army. I think that a lot of like becoming a leader is by voicing a message. Now like, he was on stage and now the message is amplified. There's a microphone there now. So I
Yeah.
don't think that you have to be as active maybe, because the story's out there and you're seeing the momentum and you're seeing the allegiance of all this like these followers, which is great. I love to see it again. Like it's another a valid point on God. If you had retail behind you, who knows? Like again, like Micron, for example, or Qualcomm. Like these are two really important components of the user economy. Dirt cheap because of the commodity story behind their business. Or it's just like I don't know if you deserve a premium. What should they do? If they had a retail army behind them, like
Yeah.
if you're a business who's a commodity of your product's a commodity and you believe you're undervalued, why not spend some money on marketing to become this like get a retail following and get some retail momentum to share your story and do the
Yeah.
marketing for you? Because eventually, if you invest enough and you have an army behind you, guess what? You don't have to spend on S&M, sales and marketing. You cut that spend because you have free workers
Yeah.
essentially doing it for you. It's like
Yeah.
I think it's another case study on like if you think you're undervalued and your product might be a commodity, go the open door route. Create an open army. Find
Yeah.
find a leader to do that.
And that is what all like every company is trying to do. And I think it is so hard though, because we're in these like we're in FinTwit. There's always someone trying to start something.
Mhm.
And it is so hard to break through the noise. And I think that's why Eric, what he has done is very impressive. And it's just like it's a thing in marketing. And, you work with brands and like, oh, we want to go viral. It's like it's not, you don't just go viral. Like there are a lot of things that need to line up. And to your point, it's like a personality, it's the story. You need a lot of components there, which is going back to what you're saying about your sis-in-law. I would say like PR in the sense of like storytelling, shaping stories. I think that is going to be very valuable in the
Totally.
future in this sense. So maybe she could do like modern IR or
Well,
something.
I told her to own eyeballs. That's
Yeah.
that's the biggest currency. But also, like to go to your point, that companies are trying. I get like 3 or 4 companies a month reaching out to me to kind of do the Air Jackson thing,
Yeah.
and it's just they're trying. They see it. I just think the bigger companies are like 50 billion plus. Like I think you should not think you're too big to fail. Like there's a
Yeah.
world where you can get bigger and bigger. Like Elon, he spent $1 billion today. The company went up $100 billion in value. Why not spend 5 billion? It might go up
Yeah.
even more. Like it's just the bump, retail premium bump is very real.
Gotta spend money to make money. And I think it will be interesting. I think to your point, Eric Jackson, it's like not that his work there is done, but things are sort of falling into place. And now the team's got to do it. I wonder what his next, he's probably got a list of, what are the 5 next ones he's going to go after. So it'll be interesting to see where he goes there. We just got news from Secretary Bessent that a TikTok deal has been reached in a framework capacity. I know everyone was worried about this one. I had totally forgot about it. I was like, oh, yeah, we were going to ban TikTok. I totally forgot about that. But he said it's between two private parties. The commercial terms are agreed upon. So they're expecting an announcement in a few days on that front. Not to distract from the Fed this week, but the September 17th was the TikTok deadline that I think everyone sort of just assumed wasn't going to happen because people got distracted. So I don't know. I don't know what we're going to see there. I mean, when I saw the Oracle news, I was like, wow, last time we are talking about Oracle this month, it was literally because we thought they were going to buy TikTok, which is like so inconsequential compared to what they actually did.
You know what that news is like? First off, China and US, there's no solution yet. It's like
No.
the house is on fire, but you're saying, all right, well, our guest bedroom floor is vacuum, so
Yeah.
we're good. We're good.
Yeah, we fixed TikTok. It's fine. Everything's gonna be fine. We fixed TikTok. Well, the Chinese economy is, not doing so hot. They had August data come out. Their factory output and retail sales slowed to the weakest growth since last year. Industrial output rose only 5.2% at missed forecast. So they're feeling the pressure. They are struggling to meet their growth target of 5% for 2025. So probably going to pump more stimulus in there as they do. But yeah, there's a lot going on there that needs fixing. And I think maybe they were just like, you know what, let's just do the TikTok thing and give the kids what they want. People dance, people go in the streets and celebrate, I guess. I don't know. I forgot it was going to potentially go away just because in my mind, I was like, there's no way it's just going to disappear one day.
Yeah, I mean, maybe they were waiting for Oracle to get big enough
Yeah.
to use.
I mean, that's so the Oracle, what you described what Oracle's doing like in the future, and then Oracle owning TikTok seem like so different things to have. Like there's obviously relations between those two things, but those are two crazy narratives to have at the same time.
I know. We're wild time we're in right now.
And then you got Larry Ellison just, he's
By the
having
way, dude, he looks incredible at 80 plus years old. Like
We were
I
talking
there were some
about
80-year-olds at my wedding. I can tell you guys this. I know I have a benchmark now.
Well, yeah, yeah, I mean, it helps to have that much money. I thought he was like 50. I literally
It's
he looks
crazy.
younger than Elon. No shade to Elon.
He looks wait, how old is Trump?
80.
He looks great too. Like there's some lab that they go to,
79.
both of them go to. They
I
both
think
look good.
well, it's the self-tanning solution is if you put a tan on something, it looks better, like 9 times out of 10. But Ellison's also like physically, he's jacked, like 81 years old. Like
He's a big boat guy, so I think he has to stay fit for that.
Oh
Yeah.
man. Oh man. Let's check in on how the markets are looking while we take you guys into the week. Stocks are rising. Obviously, we had some positive comments on China trade talks coming out, and Tesla continuing to see the surge after Elon Musk dropping a cool Billy on his own company. Way to bet on yourself, Other stuff this week though, Shay. I mean, we got the Fed meeting. You said that's priced in. It's kind of slow on the earnings front. I mean, Cracker Barrel, we'll be here reporting live on that one. Cracker Barrel is going to be man. But other than that, I mean, what I can't get off the Cracker Barrel. It's just so funny to me. Like,
no, I think it's funny that we're in this like era where we have AI, quantum, robotics, and you're gonna invest in Cracker Barrel.
No, I know.
Cracker Barrel is the investment that you guys want to make.
Well, and it's like they are like we're not like they're ready to like cut electricity at the stores. People are so like they're like we're taking it way back. Like I don't know what they're gonna do. It's gonna be like a 17th century experience. And then to your point, everything else is like humanoid robots. I mean, we know it'd be funny if Cracker Barrel was the first company to buy humanoid robots. I think.
And they change the logo from the barrel to a robot. Maybe
People
that's the
would
win.
lose their shit. Imagine you going to Cracker Barrel and there's like you're eating by candlelight, but there's like humanoid robots. Like here's your mac and cheese. I don't know, but you're right.
I just want my fried steak. I didn't want this robot.
Yeah, it's a lot. Well, look, Shay, it's great to have you back in the saddle. We will be back tomorrow with even more news you can use and market headlines. And also, forgot to mention, if you haven't signed up for Stocktoberfest and you want to join, check that out at stocktoberfest.stocktwits.com. But Shy, great to see you, bud. And we'll be back tomorrow.